Life throws so many twists and turns our way, good, bad, and everything in between. But what if every moment, every experience, carries a deeper purpose? In Buddhism, they believe that nothing happens by chance, and everything unfolds for a reason. Eckhart Tolle's teachings align perfectly with this, emphasizing how accepting the present moment, just as it is, leads to true peace. Sounds profound, right? Stick with us as we explore how this ancient philosophy and modern wisdom combine to show us that everything happens for a reason, guiding us toward a deeper sense of calm and understanding. Ready to uncover the power behind it all? Let's dive in. If you're serious about your personal health, whether you want to stop suffering, get clear guidance on how to stop overthinking, or to be more present in life, now's the perfect time to subscribe to our channel. Like this video if you're ready to grow further as a person. Now, let's continue. Everything in life is temporary. Everything shifts. The seasons, how we feel, our connections with others, and even our own bodies. In Buddhism, there's this principle known as anicca, which means impermanence. It's one of those core truths about existence. We experience suffering when we push back against what is real. We all wish for those happy moments to stick around forever and for the tough times to just disappear. But life really is all about that constant flow. Trick isn't about clinging on or pushing back. It's really about embracing each phase with a sense of peace. Eckhart Tolle, in his book, The Power of Now, echoes this wisdom by emphasizing that suffering arises when we resist the present moment. He writes, "Whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it." This aligns perfectly with the Buddhist idea of impermanence. When we stop clinging to what was or worrying about what will be, we find a deeper sense of peace. Imagine nature. A river just keeps flowing, never stopping or holding on to any single shape. It moves effortlessly. A tree drops its leaves in the fall, but it's not bothered by it. It knows that spring is going to bring new ones. We can also learn to let go of things that don't help us anymore, trusting that every change brings us to a new stage of growth. Embracing the idea that nothing lasts forever really sets us free. It lets us savor the moment without worrying about losing it and tackle challenges, knowing that they will eventually fade away. Since everything is always changing, every tough moment is just a part of the journey, not the end of the road. True peace isn't about dodging change. It's all about going with the flow. When we let go of a struggle against reality and embrace a sense of detachment, we find a peace that isn't tied to what's happening around us. Everything in life has a reason behind it. Everything we do, think, and say has an impact, even if we don't see it right away. Karma is really at the heart of Buddhism. One of its key teachings. It's really not about punishment or some kind of divine reward. It's just a natural law, kind of like gravity, you know. Everything we do sends out energy that eventually comes back to us in one way or another. Picture this. You toss a stone into a lake. The ripples spread out in every direction, changing the surface of the water. Just like that, what we do sends out waves in our own lives and in the lives of those around us. Some effects show up right away, while others might take years to really come to light. One thing's for sure, everything we do leaves a mark. Karma isn't just about our actions, it's also about our thoughts and feelings. If someone is carrying around hatred and resentment, even if they don't show it on the outside, that energy still impacts them and influences their reality. On the flip side, a person who nurtures compassion and patience, even when things get tough, tends to create a peaceful vibe around them. The quality of our lives really comes down to how we think and what we do. Similarly, in A New Earth, Tolle describes how our identification with our thoughts and emotions traps us in cycles of suffering. He suggests that true freedom comes when we recognize that we are not our pain, our past, or even our thoughts. The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but your thoughts about it. This perspective complements the Buddhist understanding of karma. Our inner world shapes our outer reality. If we nurture resentment, we carry that weight with us. If we cultivate compassion, we transform not just ourselves, but the energy we bring into the world. It's interesting how we notice some folks who seem to get away with doing wrong, while others who are just trying to do the right thing end up facing unfairness. It might sound a bit contradictory, but Buddhism teaches that karma doesn't always show up immediately. Kind of like planting a seed, right? Some sprout up fast, while others take their sweet time to show results. It's really key to realize that everything we do has an impact, even if we don't notice it immediately. Karma really shows us the importance of taking personal responsibility. We tend to point fingers at others or our situations for what goes down in our lives. When we take a closer look, it's clear that our own actions have played a role in where we find ourselves now. It's not about punishing ourselves or feeling guilty. It's about realizing that we can change our lives by changing what we do and how we think. There's a story in Buddhism that really brings this to light. A student asked their teacher why some folks come into the world with nothing while others have so much, and why it seems like some people just have all the luck while others don't. The teacher said something like this: if you plant apple seeds, you'll end up with apples. If you plant thorns, you're going to end up with thorns. Every life is shaped by so many past actions, and the choices we make now are like planting seeds for what's to come. Karma isn't about just giving up or thinking everything is predetermined. We're not stuck in a fixed destiny. We have the power to change our reality with each decision we take. If we've caused suffering for ourselves or others before, we can always choose to change and act with more wisdom and compassion moving forward. You can create karma in 3 main ways: by what you think, what you say, and what you do. All of these things really affect our lives and the world around us. A thought of hatred might feel small at first, but if we feed it, it can grow into hurtful words and, eventually, harmful actions. But you know, when we think about love and gratitude, it really can change how we talk and behave, bringing a sense of harmony to our surroundings. Mindfulness really helps us notice our karma in everyday life. If we take a good look at our actions and thoughts, we might start to see some patterns that keep bringing us back to the same situations, whether they're tough or joyful. If we keep reacting with anger to problems, we end up creating a tense atmosphere, which just brings in more conflict. If we respond with calm and understanding, we can break that cycle and create a more peaceful reality. Don't forget, karma isn't just about what happens to us individually. It also plays a role in the bigger picture for everyone. The choices we make really impact our family, our community, and even the world around us. When we embrace values like generosity and empathy, we not only enhance our own lives, but also help create a more harmonious environment for everyone around us. One important thing to remember about karma is that it really hinges on intention. Helping someone for personal gain just isn't the same as doing it from the heart. Even if we're doing the same thing on the outside, the vibe we create can really vary. Buddhism really highlights how crucial it is to consider the motivation behind everything we do. As we go through life, we pick up all sorts of experiences and habits that shape who we become. But you know, the past doesn't really define who we are. Every day brings a fresh chance to sow some good seeds. No matter how many times we've messed up, we can always hit the reset button and start fresh. To change our karma, we can start with little things, being nicer with our words, being honest in our actions, and lending a hand to those around us without expecting anything back. These gestures might look easy, but they really make a big difference. Just like a single drop of water can make ripples in a lake, every little positive action we take adds up to something bigger. Karma is a great reminder that we have the power to shape our own lives. We might not be able to control everything, but we definitely have a say in how we react to what comes our way. Every choice we make is a chance to step closer to a richer and more fulfilling life. When we get the hang of the law of cause and effect, we stop feeling like we're just at the mercy of fate and start taking charge of our own lives. This gives us more control over our lives and helps us live with more peace and confidence. Buddhism tells us that suffering comes from being attached to things. We hold on to people, things, feelings, and even thoughts, thinking they'll make us happy. But nothing in life really lasts forever. When what we want shifts or goes away, it hurts. The issue with attachment is that it really makes us rely on things outside ourselves. We start to think that without a relationship, a job, or specific circumstances, happiness just isn't possible. When we rely on things we can't control for our peace, suffering is bound to happen. Letting go doesn't mean you stop loving or valuing someone. It's all about finding joy in the moment without needing to hold on to it, being here now without expecting it to last forever. A love that isn't about attachment doesn't try to control or cling. It just flows with acceptance. When we let go, we discover a freedom we never thought possible. Eckhart Tolle, in The Power of Now, captures this beautifully. The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but your thoughts about it. We often get stuck in suffering because we replay past pains or worry about what's to come, instead of simply being present. Much like Buddhist teachings, Tolle reminds us that peace isn't about changing external circumstances. It's about changing how we relate to them. If we learn to observe our thoughts instead of being controlled by them, we loosen our grip on attachment and create space for genuine peace. Life doesn't always go the way we think it will. Since we were kids, we've been encouraged to go after what we want, to push ourselves to achieve our goals, and to stand our ground when things don't turn out the way we hoped. But not many show us how crucial acceptance really is. In Buddhism, figuring out how to accept life just as it is, without putting up unnecessary resistance or struggling, is one of the main ways to discover inner peace. Rather than resisting what's bound to happen, we might want to consider, what can I take away from this experience? There's this story a Zen master used to share about a farmer and his horse. So, there was this one day when the horse just took off and ran away. His neighbors dropped by to comfort him, saying it was such a tough break. The farmer, though, replied, "Who really knows if this is good or bad?" Not long after, his son gave it a shot at taming one of the wild horses, but ended up falling and breaking his leg. Once more, the neighbors felt sorry for him, but the farmer just shrugged and said, "Who knows if this is good or bad?" A few weeks later, the army showed up in the village to draft young men for war, but they passed over the farmer's son because of his injury. What looked bad actually turned out to be good, and what seemed good might have had a bad side. Life keeps moving, and it's only as time goes by that we start to see the bigger picture. Just because we accept reality doesn't mean we shouldn't step up and take action when we need to. If something is making us suffer and we have the power to change it, we definitely should. But if something's out of our hands, trying to fight it just ends up causing more stress. Wisdom is all about figuring out what we can change and what we just have to accept. Eckhart Tolle expands on this idea in A New Earth, explaining that much of our suffering comes from our resistance to reality. He writes, "Whatever you fight, you strengthen, and what you resist persists." The more we resist a situation, wishing it were different, clinging to how things should be, the more trapped we become. But when we accept things as they are, without needing them to be different, we find a freedom that isn't dependent on circumstances. Acceptance gets a boost when you dive into meditation and mindfulness. When we meditate, we get to notice our thoughts without judging them or feeling the need to change them. We get that emotions can be pretty fleeting, just like clouds drifting across the sky. As time goes by, it helps us take life situations in stride with a bit more calmness. One of the toughest things we face is really accepting people just the way they are. We often find ourselves struggling because we try to change others, hoping they'll be more affectionate, think like us, or act in a specific way. Every person is unique, going through their own journey and learning in their own way. When we let go of trying to control others and embrace them with all their ups and downs, our relationships really start to flow better. Acceptance isn't about agreeing with everything that goes on. Just because someone treats us badly doesn't mean we have to put up with it. We can totally accept that person just as they are, without needing them to change for us to feel at peace. Rather than battling with reality, we have the choice to decide how we want to react to it. Learning to accept ourselves is really important, you know. We tend to be really tough on ourselves, don't we? We beat ourselves up over our mistakes or wish we could change who we are. Self-compassion really plays a crucial role in our overall well-being. Accepting ourselves doesn't mean we're giving up on improvement. It's more about stopping the struggle and beginning to treat ourselves with a bit more kindness. Change is something we all have to deal with. In life, we're bound to face losses, failures, and disappointments, but we'll also discover love, growth, and fresh opportunities along the way. Life really is a mix of tough times and joyful ones. When we get to a point where we can accept both with the same calmness, we discover a peace that isn't tied to what's happening around us. Embracing life as it comes lets us let go of the weight of fighting against it. It helps us release the burden of ongoing struggle and appreciate each moment with thankfulness. When we let go of the struggle against reality, we find that happiness isn't about having everything figured out. It's about going with the flow of what life brings our way. Each day brings a chance to embrace acceptance. Let's kick things off with the little stuff, like dealing with traffic without getting all worked up, rolling with the punches when it rains on our plans, and remembering that everyone else has their own pace and way of doing things. As time goes on, this practice helps us embrace life's big changes with greater wisdom and a sense of calm. True freedom isn't about trying to control everything around us. It's really about learning to go with the flow of life. When we embrace acceptance, it really opens up a sense of freedom for us. It helps us to live with a bit more lightness, confidence, and a deeper sense of inner peace. In life, we all go through tough times that just don't seem to add up, like losses, failures, illness, conflicts, and those tricky situations that really test us. Every challenge comes with a lesson, even if we don't notice it right away. Sometimes, when things don't turn out the way we hoped, we can find ourselves feeling resistant, angry, or even sad. But if we take a closer look, we can find that even in the toughest times, there's a lesson waiting to be uncovered. Everything in life has meaning, especially when we learn to turn our suffering into wisdom. One of the key ideas in Buddhism is that everything is connected and relies on each other. Everything is connected. What happens is always the outcome of a bunch of causes and conditions coming together. Often, what we think of as a hurdle is really just a crucial part of our journey to grow. Sometimes, what we're going through now could be setting us up for something even better down the line. There's this Buddhist story about a disciple who came across a caterpillar really trying hard to break free from its cocoon. Noticing its struggle, he chose to lend a hand by gently opening the cocoon with his fingers. But the butterfly that came out couldn't fly. Its wings weren't fully developed, since it was the struggle to break free from the cocoon that would have strengthened them. Just like that, the challenges we face help us build the qualities we need to keep moving forward in life. Suffering can really teach us a lot if we're open to what it has to say. It makes us take a moment to reflect, ask ourselves some questions, and really evolve. It highlights our weaknesses and lets us turn them into strengths. Every challenge we encounter gives us the option to either stay stuck in pain or turn it into something that helps us grow and change. In life, we might not always end up with what we want, but we definitely get what we need to grow and change. When a relationship comes to an end, it can really show us how important it is to be independent. Sometimes, a setback in our careers can be a sign that it's time to change direction. Sometimes, a health issue can really bring home how crucial it is to look after both our body and mind. Everything has its purpose if we're willing to learn from it. Often, it's only as time goes by that we can understand the reason behind a tough situation. You know, sometimes what feels like a bad break can actually be the best chance we ever get. What's really important is not getting stuck in complaints or feeling down. Instead, we should have faith that everything happens for a reason, even if we can't see it right now. Buddhism encourages us to view each experience as a chance to grow. Rather than complaining about the storm, why not think about what it might be teaching us? Do you think it's telling us we need to be more patient? Are we finding it easier to let go of control? Are we getting stronger for what's ahead? People generally have a natural tendency to avoid pain. We really just want to steer clear of it, brush it off, or get rid of it as fast as we can. But you know, when we really pay attention to our pain, it can actually change us for the better. It's kind of like fire that cleanses gold, getting rid of what's not needed to show its real essence. When we feel hurt, it can be a signal that there's something we need to address within ourselves. When a criticism really hits us, it can actually be a chance to boost our self-esteem. When a loss hits us hard, it might be a good moment to think about letting go with a sense of love. Every tough emotion reveals a piece of ourselves that we need to understand and heal. Embracing challenges doesn't mean giving up on them. It's about viewing them as guides on our journey. We can see every obstacle as a curse or as a chance to grow. How we decide to interpret them really shapes our experience. It can be really beneficial to sit down and jot down the toughest moments we've gone through and think about what lessons we've picked up along the way. It's possible that, because of those challenges, we ended up building more resilience, compassion, or wisdom. Sometimes, even the toughest experiences can teach us something valuable if we take a moment to reflect on them. When we believe that everything happens for a reason, we can tackle challenges with a bit more calm and clarity. Rather than wondering, why me? We can flip the question to, what for? This little change in how we think can really transform how we deal with suffering, helping us to grow instead of getting stuck in pain. Life's lessons can be tough sometimes, but they definitely hold a lot of value. Every experience, even the tough ones, is getting us ready for something bigger and better. When we start viewing challenges as opportunities, we stop being afraid of them and begin to welcome them as a natural part of our growth journey. Everything happens for a reason. Every tough moment opens up a chance for a fresh perspective. All we really need is the courage to take that leap. People often find their thoughts drifting between what has happened before and what lies ahead. We look back on the past with a mix of nostalgia and regret, while we think about the future with a sense of anxiety or hope. It's pretty uncommon for us to be fully in the moment that really matters. The now. Buddhism teaches us about mindfulness, which is all about staying grounded in the present. It encourages us to really embrace each moment, being fully aware and free from distractions. When we get wrapped up in thoughts about the past, we end up reliving old wounds or holding on to memories that just aren't there anymore. When we start to worry about what's ahead, we often come up with all these made-up scenarios that might not even happen, which just adds extra stress we don't need. But right now is the only moment that truly matters. It's the only time we can take action, feel things, and really experience life to the fullest. Mindfulness isn't just about meditating. It's really a whole lifestyle. It's all about being fully engaged in everything we do without letting our minds wander into those automatic thoughts. Eating mindfully is all about really enjoying each bite rather than rushing through your meal without paying attention. When we listen to someone with our full attention, it's all about being in the moment and not getting caught up in what we're going to say next. Walking mindfully means really noticing each step, feeling the ground beneath your feet, and enjoying the breeze on your skin rather than getting caught up in your thoughts. Many of us find ourselves in a never-ending cycle of distractions. We often find ourselves checking our phones while chatting with someone, thinking about work when we're with family, and going over our worries during meals. We're here in one spot, but our thoughts are wandering off somewhere else. This keeps us from really enjoying life and just adds more stress to our plates. Mindfulness really helps us get back to being present in the moment. Buddhism suggests that our minds are a bit like a restless monkey, hopping from one thought to the next without taking a break. Meditation helps you teach that monkey to chill out and really pay attention to what's happening right now. It might be a bit tough at the beginning, but as time goes on, we start to notice our thoughts more and can decide where to focus our attention. One simple mindfulness exercise is to pay attention to your breath. Just notice how the air comes in and goes out, without trying to change anything. Whenever your mind starts to drift, just bring your focus back to your breath. This straightforward action brings us back to the here and now and sharpens our focus. Mindfulness isn't about getting rid of all our thoughts. Instead, we get to notice them without getting all wrapped up in them. Picture your mind as a vast sky, with your thoughts drifting like clouds overhead. Just take a moment to notice them without clinging on or trying to push them away. It's all about observing and then letting them drift away. Eckhart Tolle, in his book, The Power of Now, beautifully echoes this idea, reminding us that realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. When we let go of the past and stop worrying about the future, we allow ourselves to fully engage with life as it unfolds. Mindfulness isn't about escaping reality, but about truly living it, without the mental noise that often clouds our perception. Living with mindfulness helps us realize that a lot of our worries aren't really needed. It's pretty clear that we tend to suffer when we get stuck thinking about the past or worrying about the future. When we really focus on the present moment, we discover a sense of peace that isn't tied to what's happening around us. Tolle also describes how our thoughts often create unnecessary suffering in a new earth. The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation but your thoughts about it. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see our thoughts for what they are, passing mental events, not absolute truths. This shift in perspective brings a profound sense of peace, allowing us to respond to life with clarity rather than being ruled by reactive emotions. Mindfulness helps us to respond rather than just react. Sometimes we just react without thinking, letting our anger, fear, or frustration get the best of us. When we're really present, we get the test of us. When we're really present, we get the chance to decide how we want to react to whatever comes our way. Rather than just reacting without thinking, we can choose to respond with a bit more calmness and clarity. Buddhism teaches that every moment gives us a chance to wake up and be aware. We can practice mindfulness anytime, without needing a retreat or any special circumstances. We can incorporate it into every part of our daily routine, whether it's washing our hands, enjoying a cup of tea, or listening to the song of a bird. Life is happening right now, and every moment is precious if we take the time to appreciate it. Lots of folks look for happiness like it's something they'll grab in the future, maybe when they land a better job, meet the perfect partner, or hit a specific goal. Happiness isn't something we find in the future. It's all about how we embrace the present moment. If we don't figure out how to be present right now, we'll just keep running after something that feels out of reach. When we embrace mindfulness, we start to notice the beauty in our daily lives. It helps us appreciate the little things we often miss. It really helps us tap into our own existence on a deeper level. It doesn't mean we won't run into issues, but it helps us see things clearly so we can tackle them without getting caught up in all the mental chaos. Every moment in our lives gives us a chance to be mindful. Let's kick things off with some simple stuff, like taking a few conscious breaths when we wake up, really tuning in to the people around us, and enjoying every meal with a sense of gratitude. As time goes on, this practice turns into a habit that really changes how we live our lives. Mindfulness isn't just some fancy idea. It's a handy way to discover calm in the middle of all the noise. It's a reminder that life isn't about what's happened before or what's coming next, but about the present moment. When we start living in the present, we realize that happiness isn't something we need to chase after. It's something we can actually feel right here and now. Our mind can either be our best friend or the cause of our greatest struggles. Buddhism shows us that it's not really the events in our lives that lead to suffering, but rather the way we see and interpret those events. When we take a moment to notice our thoughts without getting caught up in them, we can really change our lives for the better. You know, a lot of the time, we just react without even thinking about it, forgetting that we actually have the option to respond differently in each situation. By practicing meditation and taking a moment to observe ourselves, we can help our minds move away from impulsive actions and embrace a life filled with more clarity and peace. It's really more about getting to grips with suffering than trying to get rid of it. Every tough feeling is a chance to grow. Once we let go of identifying with our fears and worries, we find a freedom that isn't tied to what's happening around us. Enlightenment isn't some far-off place. It's really about how we live right now, being aware and present in each moment. If we can let go of those negative thoughts and focus on finding our inner peace, we really can change our mindset, and that can change our whole reality. Let's keep growing together on this path of self-discovery. Subscribe to our channel for daily inspiration and grow as a person. Comment the word "now" and like the video to show your support. Also, consider sharing this video with someone who could use some encouragement to slow down and enjoy life more fully.